Welcome to the Fall 2020 Ladies Big Book Study Recording Series. My name is Kimberly and I am a recovered alcoholic. I am the facilitator of a tri-weekly Big Book Study for ladies only, and we record each session so we can share the knowledge along with you. What we do is we read the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous line by line. We pause on each page and have discussion time to share our experience, our strength, and our hope on each page. You are more than welcome to follow along in this series and do the work of the steps of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you do need support at any time, please reach out to me in the Contact Us area of my YouTube channel, and we're happy to provide you with support. The online recordings are open to men and women. Do not be discouraged, gentlemen. Our ladies' point of view may offer you a different perspective. So welcome. I hope you enjoy. Let's carry on in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, page 60, halfway down. Being convinced we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understand Him. Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do? The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will will hardly be a success. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may be sometimes quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But, as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. So here we are, we're talking that we are convinced we are at step 3. How are we convinced we're at step 3? Well, we've done step 1 and 2. Step 1, we believe that we are alcoholic. If you do not believe you are alcoholic, none of this is going to work. If you still have lurking notions or reservations, which hopefully we left behind 20 pages ago, this won't work for you. You're just going to be lip surfacing from here on in. You need to believe that you are alcoholic. And you need to be willing to believe in something greater than yourself. Why? Because we are talking about the fact that we are convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. How do we know that? Well, first and foremost, we're here. Most of us don't come to Alcoholics Anonymous because we're super successful in running our lives. We're here because we've ruined everything. So our self-propulsion has led us to the end of the abyss, and we're drowning in the ocean that is alcoholism. So if you're here and life is amazing, welcome. But most of us are here because our life sucked, and it's been our propulsion that's gotten to this place. So we have to look at ourselves and say, what I've been doing hasn't been working. Perhaps there's a different way. And we are almost always on that collision with something or somebody. Why? Because we are trying to make life look good for us. You know, how many times, if only my husband would do this, or if only she would do that, or why are you fighting me at work? Don't you see that I'm trying to get a promotion and what you're doing is affecting me? Always trying to arrange life to suit me better. And how did that turn out? Well, people didn't like it so much, right? And so what happens is they get these two versions of me. Version number 1 is the me that's kind, considerate, patient, generous, modest, and self-sacrificing. I could be that person, but I could also be the person that is mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. What determined who you got was how you were acting in my life. If you were going along with my plans and my design for living, you usually got the first version of me because I liked what you were adding to my life. If you were against me in life or causing me to not get what I wanted, you usually got the second version of me. And depending on how I needed you to act, you got an increasing version of that version of me, or you've got a lesser version. So if you were really against me, you really got that side of me that was mean, egotistical, manipulative, because I wanted to mold you into what worked best for my life. And if you were doing things that suited me, I kept you happy. I kissed your ass because whatever you were doing was in line with what I wanted. And I can think of that especially professionally. Professionally, these two characters came out in my life. If you were with me, you got a good side of me. If you were against me, boy, were you against me. You know, how many people did you have in your life? And for me, it was so prominent in my work world where people would like, oh, Kim, she's amazing. I absolutely love her. And people were like, really? She's a total bitch. Why? Those two people got different versions of me because of the role they were playing in my life. So I'm sure I see lots of smiles. I'm sure lots of people can relate with that, right? And, you know, at home with my husband, right? Oh, if I wanted something, I was kind, I was generous, I kissed his bottom side. But if I wasn't getting my way, oh boy, was I a bitch. You know, just crank that notch up a few dials to try to get my way. So absolutely, I had those varied traits to absolute extremes in a lot of cases. You know, but I was a nice person if you were doing what I wanted you to do. And that's how self-propulsion runs. And if you think of the actor in the show, the actor's the least important character. You know, there's the writer, there's the director, there's the lighting guy who makes the actor look good, but the actor thinks the world just revolves around him. But he's actually the most minor character, right? But he's the one that typically has the biggest ego. And that was my problem. Anybody relate? Want to act? Have a question? You guys have been real quiet this session. Marianne Toronto, unmute yourself, please.
Hi, friends. I am an alcoholic from Toronto. My name's Marianne. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be sober. I just got to say that this behavior is not exclusive to alcoholics. So once I unraveled this in myself, I find that I can spot this type of actor behavior with other people around me. But thankfully I have a program to work through that, so I don't have to live like that anymore. And it also is on a daily basis too. I was speaking to my grant sponsor not too long ago, and we were just discussing, and she's my grant sponsor, but it just kind of slipped out that I said, well, Marg, you seem to be the actor. And she goes, oh my God. And she's got 46 years of sobriety. So it's a daily reprieve, that's for sure. Thanks.
Absolutely. And there's a little line that I like to use, confidence is quiet. Insecurity is really loud. And I find that when people are insecure or if they're not getting their way, they tend to be really loud. But if people are confident, they just kind of fly under the radar and you don't notice it. You want to reference those memes where they use that name to describe someone who's not getting what they want. And, that person typically is very loud because they don't want the person that is reacting to that person is wanting them to be quiet, to not make a scene. And so that person that wants to get their way gets even louder in order to, and I was like that 100%. Marla, whoops, mute, unmute, tug of war.
Yeah. Okay, good. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. You know, I don't know if people have the same experience, but whenever I'm done meeting with you guys, you ladies, you know, I will have these memories flood back of all the behavior that I had suppressed, and I acted like when I'm reading, I'm feeling real neutral and everything. By 11 or 12 o'clock at night, I am like, oh, I can be anything, but a lot of it is sometimes like shame and embarrassment, like, oh my gosh, how could I have been like that like 20 years ago, and all these instances. And then the next day or the next, it takes you a couple of days and probably some meetings in between that. But then it's like I see what was already said is that other people are like this too, and that I need to just be, how to say it? I need to be truthful with myself and have that freedom of letting go of all of that old behavior instead of trying to hide it. And drinking was one way I tried to hide it. You know, even though I was acting like a complete fool, you know, I'd be like, oh, you know, the next day I'd be like, what? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I'm not like that. And I mean, I could go on to numerous stories, but so I'm sitting here laughing today, going, okay, Marla, you know, in a couple hours you're going to be thinking about stuff. So I was trying to think of something fun I could do where I would not eat over it or feel ashamed or whatever. But I guess more importantly, that freedom of not having to think about this anymore is so great. So it's an encouragement to keep doing the program. And thanks a lot for doing this, Kim. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Oh yeah, and then you'd pull in, like, I don't know if anybody else has this experience, but you know, you'd pull in the ones that got the first version of you to like prove that the second version people were like completely bad mouthing you for no reason. It's like, oh no, that so and so, she's saying bad stuff about me. Look at all these people that talk such nice things about me, because those are the people that get the first version, right? And so you rely on those guys to like make you look better, make the other person that gets version 2 look crazy. You're like, I'm like the nicest person in the world. Just ask A, B, and C. And then you like it. I think it's called, what is it? Gaslighting. Narcissists do it really well, right? So, oh yeah, been there, done that. Fern.
Hi everyone, Fern, and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I so appreciate your clarification on this. It just blew my mind just now, because when I was talking about honesty on Friday, what I didn't say was I just made a real commitment to always be honest in all my affairs, and it was very difficult when I didn't realize how dishonest I was. But just now, I looked at this before. I mean, I don't even know how many big book studies I've been in, probably as many years as I've been in the program. And I have never got this, that I always thought that, on the other hand, he was mean and egotistical, selfish and dishonest. Wasn't me, because I was the nice one and the patient one, and self-sacrificing, of course. But now it just hit me, like, now I understand where my rage came from, where my crazy drinking and to cover up my anger and resentments and all that bad stuff, like you say, that you were hiding. I was hiding to you, and I was so self-righteous in that, and then played the victim when everything went to shit with people, and yeah, now that was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Fern. Vanessa.
Hey ladies, I'm relating with this so much, and I'm sure everybody can relate with this, with getting that heat in your chest, that anger just sitting right in there, and then just unleashing it. And then other people just jaw-dropping, going, who is that? Totally Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, right? And to live in this better life of serenity and clarity, and being able to pause, like it says on page 86, my sponsor always says that, pause, always pause. But, people, I remember somebody specifically saying once, yeah, she's crazy. And somebody else said, I've never seen that side of her. I don't believe it. And I also manipulated them to be like, yeah, because I'm not. Absolutely, I'm not. Right. And you totally just manipulate these people around you. Then when they eventually see it, they're going, oh my goodness, that was terrifying. So yeah, this book is so bang on with when you identify as the true alcoholic. It's like, I will say it a million times. Was this written about me? And I know we can always, like, all of us can say that. And maybe that's a bit narcissistic. But it's just so good to be here. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Vanessa. It's almost a relief. Like, honest to God, it's almost a relief when you actually see it and you're like, well, at least I'm not a horrible person. I'm actually just an alcoholic that's been untreated for 40 years of my life. Like, it was almost a relief to realize this for me. So if you're new and you're mortified at hearing these things, try to change that perspective to see, like, for me, it was like, oh my God, it makes sense now. Like, I've just been an alcoholic my whole life, untreated. It's kind of like if you think that you have a medical problem. So imagine, you're 60 pounds overweight and you've been trying to lose 60 pounds for the past 4 years. And then the doctor does a blood test and says, actually, you've got XYZ wrong with you. When we treat that, you'll be able to lose the weight. That's what it's like for me as an alcoholic. It was like all of these things and I couldn't get it to make sense. And then it was like, oh, well, you're an alcoholic. And it's like, oh, damn, that makes sense. That's why I've been like this. And now I have this method that I can use so I don't have to be like that anymore, right? It's like taking that magic pill where you're like, wow, okay, it makes sense now. Wendy. Wendy? There you go.
Okay, there it is. Sorry, I was fighting with the mute. Yeah, thank you, Kim, so much for everything you are said about these couple paragraphs and everybody else. I mean, I had a terrible day yesterday just dealing with this stuff, and it's interesting because I was thinking I was reaching like a bottom in Al-Anon yesterday because I just saw my control, like what I've done. Like I was just having, there's something going on right now in my family, but I was just having flashes of all the things that I have tried to do, which, and I, like here where it says, like, even though our motives are good, I mean, most of the stuff I felt like, I'm trying to help people. I'm, doing it because my motives are good. But it's, I don't know, it's just so true that I'm trying to run the show. I'm trying to manage it. And, it has not worked. And I don't know how much of it is the alcoholic and how much is the Al-Anon. And I don't know if it even really matters, to be honest. But it's just, I'm just really seeing this. And it's hard. I mean, last night was very, very, very hard seeing all of this reality. And I'm just so grateful that I'm in program and I was able to, reach out to people and that there's a solution for all of this stuff. Because when I just read this, it's like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. But I'm grateful that we keep going, and it's going to tell us what to do. But anyway, I don't know if that made any sense, but thanks.
Absolutely. And for me, like, I can say my motives were good, but they were selfish, right? Like somehow whatever I was doing benefited me. So, I mean, my motives, although good, were always somehow driven to benefit me somehow. And it's not the case now, right? So, carrying on. For those who joined us a little late, we're on page 61. What usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. He decides to exert himself more. He becomes, on the next occasion, still more demanding or more gracious, as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker, even when trying to be kind? Is he not the victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if only he manages well? Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he wants? And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He is like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him, and the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity? Yup. So I like this. It's like what we were talking about. As the show doesn't go off well, he exerts himself more. Well, that's what I was saying. I go to either extreme and you don't do what I want, it goes further. Heck, I might even switch it up and you are number 2 who gets a number 1, right? Like, okay, this isn't working, so I'm going to try manipulating you with kindness now. I'm going to kiss your butt a little bit because being an asshole isn't working. So side to side, but I'm the victim of that delusion that I'm going to be happy if only all of these things were in my favor. And yet, it doesn't go off that way, and now I'm a victim. I am a habitual victim of life. Nothing. I don't even qualify for this, admitting he might be somewhat at fault. I was never at fault. 40 years of my life, I was never at fault. Past 2 years, I can tell you what, I was wrong a lot. I still make mistakes. But I never used to admit them. That sentence doesn't even apply to me. I would never say I was somewhat at fault. I had no fault. I was the victim. Everything that ever happened to me was because of you. You. Victim. There are repeat offenders. I was a repeat victim. Over and over and over again. And yes, in my best moments, even though I thought I was clear and I thought I was doing good, I was producing confusion. 100%. Like I had a boss that actually said, "You're very unapproachable." I was like, "Me? I'm the most approachable person. I'm like the nicest person ever." No, I was a big old fucking bitch and people were scared of me. No one wanted to be near me. And in my head, I was like, what do you mean I'm like unapproachable? I couldn't fathom it. That's how delusional I was. I was like, what? Like, to this day, I'm still offended. And what was the problem? I was self-centered. I was ego-centered. It was all about the Kim show. You should be doting on me. I'm the victim. Or don't you know how amazing I am? You should be kissing my butt. It just depends on who you were and what role you were playing in my life. And, you know, those politicians and reformers, I love to think of those people lolling in the sunshine. You don't vote, you don't get the right to complain. Just because something bad happened to you as a child, that's not an excuse for your bad behavior now. Yet that's what we do. Well, if you had the life I had, you would do that too. You know, I'm a drug addict because of all the bad things that happened in my childhood. No, I'm not. You see women that, the woman, I don't remember her name, and she was kidnapped and held hostage for her entire teenage life. Did she become a victim? Did she become an outlaw? Did she become an addict? No, she became a motivational speaker. But what would I have done? I would have been the victim. Poor me, woe is me, I have the right to act this way because of these things that happened. No, I chose to act that way. And I used those as the excuse, just like the safecracker, right? Just like the alcoholic who's lost all and is locked up. I was abused as a child, don't you know? So are a lot of other people. Marianne Toronto.
The person who took me through this book also has me had me write on this beside this paragraph. It's blocks to God, and it can happen to me today. My alcoholic thinking snaps in, and I go to this a lot just to say, what's going on here, Marianne? And it just strikes me that I'm so grateful to be an alcoholic. And again, my grand sponsor, and I'm thinking about her a lot today. She said, yeah, Marianne, but they don't have king, when I complain about people, they don't have king alcohol waiting to kill them. You have to change. You have to look at this stuff. You have to deal with it, or you'll die because you'll drink. And then just keep it on you. So I go over this a lot just to make sure, because my thinking makes life tough for me at times. And I have to keep checking and keep doing the steps to get rid of this stuff and stay on this path. Thanks.
Thanks, Marianne. Jenny D. Looking amazing, by the way.
Thank you, Kim. I'm Jenny. I'm an alcoholic. Hello, beautiful sober ladies. I'm so happy to be here. Okay, something Kim said really reminded me. When I came to AA, somebody said to me, who was getting to know me, a woman said to me, Jenny, there's two kinds of people that come to AA. One is the people that come here believing that all their problems are somebody else's fault. And then there's the people that come here believing that all the problems in the world are somehow your fault. You are the second type. However, what I realized is, even though I felt like that, the result was exactly the same. The behaviors ended up being exactly the same as what Kimberly was talking about, who believed that it was all somebody else's fault. I was the bitch. I was the bully. The behavior was the same. I used to work for a company where I would go and travel before I retared, where I would go and travel all over Canada to stores and visit these stores in my position. And I found out later, actually I found out on the day before I quit drinking, people would request to take the day off so they didn't have to be in the store with me when they knew I was coming. Me, look it, I'm such a nice person. but that was it. And they called me the bitch and the bully at work. I don't know about you guys, but I always thought I'm fair but firm. No, I wasn't. I was a bitch and a bully. So doesn't matter how we get here or whose fault we think everything is, we play it out the same way. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was so good at it that they made me the union boss for my work. I thought it was a compliment. No, I was just the biggest bitch there. Oh, man. Okay. Let's keep going. We're going to really break down this next paragraph, and it might blow your mind. Selfishness, self-centeredness. That, we think, is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows, and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation. But we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. Now, if you really look at that, there's the basis of our step 4. That's the basis of our step 4. We stepped on the toes of our fellows and they retaliated. So there's your column 1 and your column 2. The fellows are your column 1. The retaliation is your column 2. And what happened? We were hurt, column 3. But if we break it down, we made decisions based on self, which are column 4, driven by 100 forms of fear, column 5. And what happened? We blamed them. Don't you know? It's all your fault. But it all started with what? It's the first word in that, self. It starts with me. I am the root of all of my troubles. I stepped on the toes of my fellows and they retaliated to me and I got hurt. Why? Fear, delusion, self-seeking, self-pity, all of which can be found in the me portion of my step 4. So we're introduced to the new way of thinking right here in this paragraph. We are always programmed to blame other people. Column 1 are all the people that I'm mad at for all of the things they did to me in column 2. And don't you know they hurt me? And all that is in column 3. But what we're going to find and what we're going to do in the next few pages is we're going to turn that story around and we're going to look for it where we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. That is the new narrative of our story. I decided to date that guy. I decided to ignore red flags. I decided to stay too long. I decided to manipulate. I decided to lie. I was the one who brought misery into my life. Now we're going to go into step 4, way more detail next time. Don't you worry about it. But that's the basis of what we're going to do. We're going to do a self-exploration of self to find those decisions we made which placed us in a position to be hurt. Why? So that we're better people. So that we're no longer selfish. And so that we stop getting hurt by ourselves. No one hurt me. I hurt myself. And I don't have to do that anymore. So that's a big paragraph for me. Anybody want to elaborate? We're letting that one sit in. All right. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot. Does that mean that alcoholics are the only ones that have this problem? No. We're just the best at it. We do it better than anybody else. Yay! Although he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible. And there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without His aid. Many of us have had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we could not live up to them even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own willpower. We had to have God's help. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal, we are his agents. He is the father, and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we passed to freedom. So, what do we need to do? I need to get rid of selfishness. How do I do that? With God. So, what does that mean? How does that happen? It tells us. We decided in this drama of life that God was going to be our director. He's going to be my GPS. He's going to show me the way of light. So instead of thinking of myself, I'm going to think of what God wants for me. He's the principal, and I'm his agent. I'm going to help his kids. I'm going to think of other people and how I can help them. It's a really good way to get out of yourself. He is the father and we are the children. So in all of these three ideas, director, principal, and father, these are guidance roles. I'm going to look for guidance. Guidance in what? How to live my life on the right side of life. How to be kind, loving, tolerant. And what do those things do for me? They get me out of self. Because if I'm in self, guess who I'm being kind, tolerant, and loving to? Me. That's it. I'm never thinking of anyone or anything else. It's simply a shift in thinking. It's a collective thinking instead of a personal thinking. And this is the new keystone of the new and triumphant arch with which we walk to freedom. So, do I live my life for me, or do I live my life for all? I live my life for all. And what happens? Me gets better. Me gets happier. Me gets fulfilled. Me gets a warmth and a coziness inside my heart that I was trying to get by bossing everybody else around. And all I was getting was misery. And most good ideas are simple. If you got a plan and you can't say it in 5 words or less, it's not simple. When you're saying, well, you know, and then you're adding the but I gotta do and but I gotta do and but I gotta do, but it's not simple. And I have a really good friend of mine, and when I'm going through some stuff, I usually call him because he calls me out straight, and he'll say, that sounds like a really great plan. Let me know how that goes. And I'm like, ugh. Right? Because anything that has too many moving pieces is not simple. And it's not God's will. That's your will. And it's you trying to play the actor, arranging the show. The longer the sentence, the more you're trying to arrange. All right. Anybody? Joanne? Unmute.
Got it.
There you go.
I was waiting for the new statement. Hi, everyone. I'm Joanna. I'm an alcoholic addict. And there's a lot here. I find that taking time to go through third step is really important before you enter the fourth step. And so what I want to talk about a little bit is on the third step is to make a decision to turn your life and your will over to the care of God or a higher power. Care was a hard word for me. This is just my story, but I came from a dysfunctional family. I didn't experience care. I got through a lot of my background by developing coping mechanisms. Did they work for me? Not all of them, but some of the coping mechanisms was self-centeredness. Just even the example of when you're second to the youngest of 6 children, you better make sure you get your food fast, because if you don't, it's going to be gone. There were some survival things, how to hide when the alcoholic parent is losing their mind. So I learned my lessons well from dysfunction. And one of the things that I did experience is care. And there were some angels in my life that did come through that helped me stay alive. But when I walked into AA, I didn't understand care. I couldn't care for myself. I didn't know how to care for myself. There was one man that said, "Oh, you need a hug." And I was like, "If you come near me, I will fucking kill you." Because I had a understanding of what people wanted. And I mean, I was very much a latchkey kid, so we'll just sum that up. But my point is that when I look at the ways I manipulated, I directed, I did all of that, and seeing the 4 steps saying the exact nature is that I didn't understand what cared for. I just knew what survival was. And drinking helped me to survive. And I paid a price for that because I became addicted, and it became my only answer. So when I'm of the realm of gentleness, but do it anyways, is that when I look at all the things I did to manipulate and coerce and how I'm self-centered and all of that, the one thing that I have to do is I have to ask God to allow myself to care about me so that I don't take this stuff and beat the shit out of myself. I was just doing the best I could, but it also got in the way of being who I was and having the life that maybe God and or higher power wanted or intended me to have. I survived. I didn't thrive. I just survived. And so when I look back on this, I have to look at the care. I have to believe in the care of God or the care of my group and people. God works in lots of different ways. And there were people that cared about me, and they just loved me through this process, even when I thought that I was a piece of shit on my first 4 step, and why would God care for me and all of that. And they were like, those are the bedevilments. You have to stop thinking, believe that we care about you. And over time, they taught me how to care. And so the spiritual awakening has been coming into my own, and also learning how to care for myself and how to care for others. And it is a powerful thing. And that helps me to help other people walk through this path, one step at a time. So if you're new and you're coming on to this and you're feeling, oh my God, I've been such a, manipulative bitch. I did the best I could. And now it's time for something new, because the person I brought into AA couldn't stay. And so I have to change. And today I'm a lot more loving and I'm a lot more gentle. And when I see my character defects, it's like, oh, there you are. We'll have to work on this. Not like, oh, I should just go kill myself. And that's the extremism of the alcoholic and their mindset and the self-centeredness, which I know now. And so this is a lot. But man, if you go through it, it changes. And then you get to be the person that thrives in this program. And then you start to see the miracle of this program happen for you. And with that, I will share the time.
Thank you so much, Joanne. That was amazing. So amazing. Anne Marie, you had your hand up. No? All right. Linda.
You know, I always thought, I was the center of everything, As my friend says, I might not be much, but I was all I thought about, and it was always at the expense of others. And like you said, like if they were doing what I wanted them to do, they were awesome. If they weren't, I was the bitch. And what I found in listening to the words being shared is that, and over a period of time, is that as long as I'm trying to find fault with you and justifying myself because you're thinking of me in a particular way, you know what? I had to turn that around and look at it as a gift, that God was talking to me through others, telling me that somehow, somewhere, my actions, my thinking has caused these people to react to me this way. Ultimately, I am the root of the problem. And that was not an easy thing to come to accept that no matter what was going on in my life, I created it. So I'm really, truly looking forward to getting all of that stuff out of the way so that God can move and make miracles happen in my life and bless me with the gifts that this program promises. Now, I haven't done this. I haven't been in recovery this way since being involved in these big book studies. And I am really just softening and just really listening. I have more of a willingness to be led because what I was doing didn't work. I wasn't making people happy. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my life the way that it was. And so, I have to be led. I've been praying for the willingness to be willing to be led because there has to be a different way. There has to be a solution. And I'm finding it by being involved in these big book studies like I've never found before. So I'm extremely grateful and I'm willing to do the work. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much, Linda. And not only are you willing, you're open-minded, and that's a big, big key. So keep coming and keep asking questions. It's awesome. Okay, 63. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Being all-powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans, and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Maker as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to others, to those I would help, of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. Huge, huge point in our journey. And I want to break down that first paragraph a little bit, where some call those the step 3 promises. And what it says, and what I have highlighted and underlined and has really become the mainstay in my recovery. He provided what we needed, not what we wanted. He provided what we needed. Ifs are big around here, it means I've got a role to play. We kept close to him and performed his work well. That right there sums up how to get everything you need in life. How to get all of the step 9 promises to come true. Keep God close through prayer and meditation and perform his work well. Carry this message. Help other people, not just alcoholics, all God's kids. Be kind, loving, tolerant, generous, patient. And he will provide you everything you need. And I'm not we're telling the truth here when I say he doesn't just give you the bargain basement what you need. He's oh, you're hungry? Here is steak and lobster. He provides. Keep him close, do his work well, and he provides. And that recipe has come true in my life. And what happened? I became less interested in myself, my plans, and my designs. I started to see how I can contribute to life. Not just in Alcoholics Anonymous. Life. How can I be a better citizen? How can I be a better mother? How can I be a better Canadian because I'm Canadian? I contribute in a multitude of places. And my life keeps getting better and better the more I do that. I have a new power. I have peace of mind. I face my life successfully. I became conscious of his presence. I feel God with me. I carry him throughout my day. And I've lost fear of my past, of the future, and of right now. Zero fear. And what did the previous page tell me about fear? I was driven by it. And what did it bring me? Misery. So this is huge. If fear propelled me by myself and it caused me pain and misery, then I want it removed. How do I get it removed? I keep God close and I perform his work well. I like recipes for success, and that sounds like a good one to me. And then, of course, we are at step 3. And that's the step 3 prayer. After I did this process, I said that step 3 prayer every morning and evening when I brushed my teeth. I'm not a memorizer. So I printed it out and I taped it to my bathroom mirror. And I just said the step 3 prayer over and over and over again. And that's our homework for tonight. This is my final stop fail before we go into the work. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. Are you sure you're an alcoholic? Do you have any lurking notions? Are you willing to believe, and will you do this work? Keep God close, perform his work well. Can you commit to that? We have a full money back guarantee. If you make this decision and you carry on with the work and you don't like the life you get, we refund your misery 100%, no questions asked. It's yours. Have a nice life. We thought well before making this decision. If you're ready, come along. You'll like the gift on the other side of this page. The decision is yours. Do you want to work this program and apply it to your life? Full money back guarantee if you don't like what you get as a result. So, anyone want to share on that? And that is your meditation thought before Wednesday, because we're doing the work. Linda.
want to say is I'm excited and I can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I love it. All right, ladies. So there's your thought-provoking end of today. Go make sure you're ready, because on Wednesday, we're doing the work. All right, so we are going to close.